Good morning. Welcome family, friends, and members of the Vanderbilt community. And of course, welcome and congratulations to the class of 2021. I'm Chancellor Daniel Diermeyer, and it is a profound honor to be here with you all. Graduates Day is an annual tradition at Vanderbilt. It marks a key moment right before commencement when our future graduates hear from visionary leaders who have changed the world for the better. It is my first time hosting this event as Chancellor, and I cannot imagine a more pivotal or exciting year to do so. We have several speakers today, including our distinguished guest of honor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, whom I will introduce shortly. We'll begin the program with a presentation from our Interfaith student speakers.
Graduates, family members, members of the faculty, and guests, thank you for this opportunity to recognize a few of the graduates who have had an impact on religious life at Vanderbilt. I'm Madeline Roach, and as the president of the Interfaith Council, I have been privileged to get to know these leaders over the past few years. They have taught me so much about what it means to have a community that restores you, to listen and learn across differences, and to care for our spiritual well-being. Particularly over the course of this past year, I have seen the critical importance that a faith community can have in times of tumult. Religious communities provide sanctuary, love, and a connection beyond that which we can see. They bring people together, challenge us to hope for and work for a better future for the collective, and foster deep relationships. As our graduates move into this next stage of their lives, I pray that their transitions will be joyful, that their paths will be made clear, and that they would find supportive communities that nourish them. For many, these communities may be spiritual homes and houses of worship. For others, perhaps they will come from serving with an organization whose mission resonates deeply, or from maintaining the friendships they have made at Vanderbilt, or from the people at the next stop in their adventure. Wherever you find yourself feeling authentically you, connected, loved, and alive, I hope you draw near. Today, we will hear from representatives of Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and Hinduism. I am excited for them to share a bit of their wisdom and reflect on the impact their faith tradition has had on their life at Vanderbilt. It is now my honor to invite my good friend, Miriam Mars, to offer a reflection from the Jewish tradition.
Hi, my name is Miriam Mars, and as a member of the Jewish community here at Vanderbilt and a student leader at Hillel, I just wanted to share some words of wisdom from one of our texts, Pirkei Avot, which translates to Ethics of Our Fathers. One of my favorite verses is Pirkei Avot 2:16, which says, "You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it." The work the rabbis are referring to is that of tikkun olam, repairing the world, using our morals and our skills, our knowledge and our work to make it a better place. No matter your college or your major, we have all had the privilege of gaining an incredible amount of knowledge and skills during our time here at Vanderbilt. And no matter what degree you're earning or what path you intend to take next, you have the potential and the ability to make a change for the better. So let's listen to the rabbis. It is not on any single person here to do all of the work, but all of us are obligated to take the skills and knowledge we've gained during our time here and put in the work to repair what parts of the world that we can.
Good morning. My name is Anup Challa, and I am a proud member of Vanderbilt University's class of 2021. I am happy to share a reflection on commencement from the Hindu faith. The following mantra comes from the Vedas, a holy book of Hinduism. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. This prayer asks God to bless us as we embrace the spirit of cooperative learning that will characterize our next professional steps. We ask that our lifelong education from the world remain fruitful and ever peaceful. As we embark on new paths, I wish everyone a safe and happy journey. Godspeed.
Assalamu alaikum, may peace be upon you all. My name is Hanan, and I am honored to welcome you on behalf of the Vanderbilt Muslim Students Association. This past year has presented the world with tremendous challenges, from a historic and deadly pandemic to the plague of systemic racism. In Islam, we are taught to always show empathy and kindness to one another and help those in need. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "The believers in their mutual kindness, compassion, and sympathy are just like one body. When one of the limbs suffers, the whole body responds to it with wakefulness and fever." From the mental, emotional, and financial toll the pandemic has taken on our fellow classmates, professors, or campus dining workers, we feel each other's pain because we are one Vanderbilt community. As we graduate from Vanderbilt and embark on our respective journeys, I implore us to carry forward the lessons of kindness, empathy, and generosity we've practiced this past year. Let us give wholeheartedly without expecting anything in return. Let us find the courage to stand up for each other and speak out when injustice occurs. Let us put forth our best effort to create lasting positive change in the world. Thank you.
Welcome, graduates. My name is Damiana Faraj, and I would like to give you my sincere congratulations on behalf of the Orthodox Christian community for getting through these 4 formative years. The road has been filled with many sweet memories as well as learning moments. I want to encourage you all to maintain the fighting spirits that have brought you through this chapter in life. Life is sometimes challenging and taxing, but it is also filled with goodness and joy. Hold fast to your goals, pursue them consistently and diligently, and enjoy the little things along the way. As St. Paul says in Galatians, let us not be weary in doing good, for we will reap in due season if we don't give up. Galatians 6:9. Congratulations to the class of 2021.
Congratulations, class of 2021. It is such an incredible honor and pleasure to be with you all on this special day. My name is Tim Warnock, and I am your Vanderbilt Alumni Association president. 37 years ago, I was sitting exactly where you are, thinking about how the last few years flew by, thinking about the lifelong friendships I made and the phenomenal education I received as part of this campus community. What I didn't have to think about as I transitioned from Vanderbilt into life as an alum was a global pandemic that has affected lives in unprecedented ways. I am so proud of the tremendous resilience, creativity, and support for one another that your class has shown. What you may not realize yet, but we're excited for you to know, is wherever you go, whatever you do, Vanderbilt is for life. You will always be connected to this amazing global Commodore family and network, who stand ready to help you make connections and grow your career, help you belong in your new city, and help you celebrate your life successes. On behalf of the more than 145,000 alumni around the world, let me be one of the first to welcome you all to the Vanderbilt Alumni Association, where you're all automatic members for life. There are never dues to pay, and everything is open to everyone. We are so proud of you, and I suspect there are more than a few parents, siblings, and even grandparents in the audience who are also thrilled and so proud to see you reach this incredible milestone in life. While it may seem a bit daunting to leave the familiar faces and places of the Vandy bubble behind you, trust me, you are prepared. The world needs you, and you are well on your way to an amazing life journey. All your time on campus or abroad has helped you hone your skills, acquire knowledge, and develop talents that will enable you to thrive in our dynamic world. Your Vanderbilt network has just expanded from the classmates graduating with you to the worldwide alumni community in over 140 countries. Wherever you go, there are likely to be alums who are already there, ready to welcome you. Vanderbilt is for life. So, when you go to grad school or take your first job in a new city, be sure to connect with the alumni there, especially in Vanderbilt chapters. Keep your email and address details current on VU Connect to receive Vanderbilt invites and news in your city. Remember, if the only address Vanderbilt has for you is your parents' home in Dallas, you won't get information about local alumni events while you're working in New York City. Join the Vanderbilt LinkedIn group to grow your professional network. You are all experts at keeping in touch via social media, so please make the effort to keep in touch. You get from your network what you put into your efforts, so we hope you'll step up and engage with the university and fellow alumni and volunteer to help current and future students succeed as you have. Every class of graduating students stands on the shoulders of all the generous alumni who have come before. Generous alumni support has enriched your experience here. From Opportunity Vanderbilt and Experience Vanderbilt to the endowed chairs for outstanding faculty, to the commons and residential colleges. Alumni support is truly invaluable. Through your support of the Senior Class Fund and class gifts, you have acknowledged the importance of paying it forward and giving back to pave the way for future Commodores. Keep up the great work. And finally, while commencement seems like a conclusion, it is really just your beginning of life after Vanderbilt. You're ready for it, and remember, you're not alone as you conquer and prevail in your next challenges and adventures. Welcome to your Alumni Association, to your alumni family. Vanderbilt is indeed for life. I will now turn over the program to Grant Brown to present the Senior Class Fund for Class of 2021.
Good morning, Vanderbilt students, families, faculty, and staff. And congratulations to each of the graduating seniors. My name is Grant Brown, and I have had the honor of serving as the president of the Senior Class Fund this past year. The Senior Class Fund is a unique organization that continues the long-standing Vanderbilt tradition of student-led giving. We educate undergraduate students on the importance of giving back and provide seniors with an outlet to support the organizations, programs, and departments that have shaped their experiences the most over the last 4 years. This past year, the COVID-19 pandemic challenged each and every one of us. However, I've been encouraged by the resilience displayed by the Vanderbilt community and the class of 2021 specifically. As of today, we have had over 500 members of the senior class support more than 116 areas of campus. This generosity is helping to ensure that future generations of students can experience the vibrant student life that we all know and love. Thank you to all the members of the senior class for continuing to improve and support the Vanderbilt community. Your efforts truly have made a difference. I would also like to thank alumni Jay and McCartney Wilkins for their profound generosity. The Wilkins family challenged members of the class of 2021 to participate in the tradition of giving back to Vanderbilt as seniors. They offered a $50,000 challenge gift to Experience Vanderbilt if 500 seniors donated through the Senior Class Fund campaign. I'm thrilled to say that 527 members of the senior class answered their call, securing this impactful gift for the next generation of Vanderbilt students. The Wilkins family has been so impressed with the commitment of the senior class through this year's challenge that they have decided to offer an additional $50,000 to Experience Vanderbilt, raising the size of their total gift to $100,000. You've shown us what it means to give back as alumni, and the impact of your generosity on inclusivity at Vanderbilt will be felt for generations. To the exceptional group of senior leaders that comprised our Senior Class Fund board, including Jeffrey Song, Maddie Edwards, Peyton Boyd, Lauren Gaithier, Owen Brody, Aaron Hunt, and Kelly Edwards, I want to thank each of you for your unique contributions and tireless dedication to this group. None of this would have been possible without your hard work. To our advisors, Veronica Ford, Dominique Marmeno, and Maureen Frazier, thank you for inspiring us to achieve more and providing constant mentorship as we navigated this year's campaign. Thank you all again, and anchor down.
Greetings. My name is Erica Joy Johnson, and I joined this year's graduating class as a Master of Divinity candidate. I have the distinct honor of offering remarks on behalf of the graduate and professional students. To each of you watching and the clouds of witnesses who labored with you, welcome. Truthfully, the part of graduation I was most looking forward to were the strawberries and champagne. You may laugh, but if the past 3 years have taught me anything, it's that those are some expensive strawberries. Celebratory rituals aside, I invite you now to pay attention to your breath. Notice how it presses itself deep into your body, how it expands possible space. After a year where breath was stolen by virus, by state violence, by isolation, notedly not by mask, breath quite literally sustains us. This is both an individual and communal practice to participate in creating a world where all have what they need to flourish. And this starts with our breath. It is here that we remember the ones who are not here with us, those we lost on the way. Be it from a breakdown of support,
financial burden, or those who have joined the ancestors, there are those who ought to be here. Take this moment. Speak their names. Notice the tension in your rib cage, and if there is something to be known here, it is that graduate education was costly. We grieve this loss even as we turn toward this moment. Beloved, these degrees across the wide spectrum of human service and design are about formation. Surely you knew this as you labored long into the night, reading whole books while also tending to your children, staring into an endless Zoom screen, caring for loved ones, somehow working full-time hours. Surely you knew this, that more than earning the credentials on paper or skills for a stratified workplace, that we were being formed. At once, both virtually together and physically alone, you made magic, still, as the very ground we once knew shifted. Certainly it made us weary, but I know it called us to reconsider the center of our work. We were asked to reassess our commitments to our communities, to our disciplines, to ourselves, to simultaneously live into a world that was unfamiliar while imagining a world that is yet to be. Breathe, each of you. This is a shifting point. And we did not learn this alone. There are folk who fed us, held us, prayed for us, taught us, moved mountains for us, made ways when we saw none. To each of you, there are not enough words to express our gratitude. The earth is shifting still, and there is much work to do. So breathe, for rest is preparation for what is to come. Breathe, for human dignity is often suspended in the midst of decision-making. Breathe, for you know how to find the information that you need. Breathe. Feel that tiptoe anticipation of the formal recognition that you did the work. Find yourself at home in your body. Know that it is always possible. Breathe. Congratulations, and breathe again. A whole world awaits.
Good morning. My name is Veer Shah, and I had the honor of serving as Vanderbilt Student Body President this past school year. I am so grateful to welcome family, friends, faculty, staff, anyone joining us online, and us, the class of COVID-19. On March 9th, 2020, our lives changed forever. That day is stamped on our Vanderbilt experience. While it's easy to pay attention to that one day and the year that followed, with every period of darkness, there exists light before and after and happiness in between. And if you don't believe me, let's take a second and reflect back to another day in our Vanderbilt experience that we will never forget. August 21st, 2017. And no, it wasn't the day we moved in. It was the day we were all wearing glasses on Stanbaugh's balcony or the doorsteps outside of Hank, or outside the lawn on Commons, or at another university altogether. All of us were there, excited yet nervous, happy yet scared, during the 1 minute, 56 seconds watching the solar eclipse while thinking about the uncertainty of what is to come of our next years on campus. And finally, after 42 COVID tests and maybe one false positive, yeah, that happened. We made it. Now, I'm going to try my best to allow us to reflect on the shared time we have had on our individual journeys to get to this moment today, and help us envision the time that we will share as alumni after tomorrow. So let's take a trip down memory lane. It's crazy to think that the last time most of us were together as one class was at Founders Walk 4 years ago. Back then, I know each and every one of you had hopes and dreams of what your Vanderbilt experience would be like. And more likely than not, it did not turn out exactly as you envisioned. Maybe the major you considered your first year is completely different from the degree you're graduating with tomorrow. Maybe the friends you used to sit with in Commons are not the same people you hang out with today on Alumni Lawn. Maybe your satay spice level started at a 1 and now you're at a solid 3 or 2.5. And all throughout that change and growth you were going through, Pie and Leaf became 2301. In all seriousness, your Vanderbilt story is unique and different, and you should be proud of all the conflicts, climaxes, and the various plots in between, because tomorrow we start a new chapter as Vanderbilt alumni. But what exactly does it mean to be an alumni? 58 years ago, on May 18th, 1963, President Kennedy delivered a message at an event honoring the university's 90th anniversary in the football stadium that we will be graduating in tomorrow. At a time of civil unrest, he discussed the obligation that we have as Commodores to defend the pursuit of learning, to engage in public service, and uphold the law to ensure constitutional rights for all. And today, on May 14th, 2021, his message holds true now more than ever at another time of civil unrest. We have an obligation as Vanderbilt students to call out injustices, work towards the public good, and support the communities we are about to enter, and not forget about the ones we are leaving behind. In fact, now when we hear the word Vanderbilt, I encourage you all to reflect back on your story and think about students who are here and going through their moments of growth. How can you help them? Are there first-generation college students who need help looking for an internship? Are there minority students on campus looking to break into an industry that lacks representation? Are there still students walking through Calhoun Hall, a building that should have been renamed years ago? We have an obligation to fight for what is right and not be complicit with the privilege we have as Vanderbilt graduates. We must use the lessons and experiences we've gained and create a better future for those to come. With that, I want to thank you, my fellow graduates, the professors, administration, and staff at Vanderbilt, and everyone's families for the support you have given us these past few years. From the tears on Commons, to the laughs and ran, to the celebrations on Zoom, it has been an honor to serve as your Vanderbilt Student Body President.
Thank you, Veer. Along with your classmates, you have shown tremendous resilience this year and throughout your time here at Vanderbilt. Graduates, your dedication to your studies and to one another has been exceptional. Together, you have endured challenges that will strengthen your knowledge, compassion, and habits of mind. This historic year has prepared you for the future and for all the challenges and breakthroughs it will bring. It has strengthened the Vanderbilt community, including the networks of alumni who will support and guide you for years to come. And it has advanced our tireless innovation and discovery, including the feats of science that have addressed and are combating COVID-19 today. Few people are better equipped to speak about this progress and the impact it will have on our lives around the world than our Graduate Day speaker for the class of 2021. It is my immense honor to welcome Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Anthony Fauci is the nation's leading expert on infectious disease research. He's director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the U.S. National Institutes of Health, where he oversees an extensive research portfolio. Among the world's most cited biomedical scientists, Dr. Fauci has made seminal contributions in basic and clinical research throughout his career. He was one of the principal architects of the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, a program that has saved millions of lives throughout the world. Today, his name accompanies many of the updates, guidance, and breakthroughs throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. As a scientist, leader, and advisor to the President, Dr. Fauci is known not only for his expertise, but for his ability to relay complex and critical information to a broad audience. He has been honored with countless awards, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the National Medal of Science, among many others. His career single-handedly represents the power of communication and the ability for discovery and collaboration to change lives around the world. These are the very values that our graduates have learned and are prepared to carry out into society. I cannot think of a better time or more deserving audience to hear from Dr. Fauci, the recipient of the 2021 Nichols-Chancellor's Medal. Each year, this prize is awarded to an individual who defines the 21st century and has exemplified the best qualities of the human spirit. Our distinguished alumnus, Ed Nichols, and his wife Janice Nichols, made this honor possible by creating and endowing the award in memory of Ed's parents, Ed Carmack Nichols and Lucile Hamby Nichols. I'm grateful for their profound generosity in establishing this medal. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Thank you, Chancellor Diermeyer, for that kind introduction. Members of the faculty, distinguished guests, family members, and friends of the graduates, and you, the 2021 graduating class of Vanderbilt University. It is a personal pleasure and a true honor to be your commencement speaker. I've had the privilege of delivering several commencement addresses over the years. I invariably have included in these addresses, in some manner or form, a reference to the fact that I was in your situation many years ago when I graduated from college and then from medical school. And so I felt that I could directly relate to what you have just experienced as a student. I might then go on to draw analogies from my past to your present. Well, that just does not pass muster this year. For what you have experienced as a result of the profound upending of your lives by COVID-19 is truly unprecedented. No students dating back over 100 years since the historic influenza pandemic of 1918 have had this level of disruption to their lives during their student years. Furthermore, the world into which you will enter as you leave the confines of this beautiful campus has changed dramatically. The adjustments that you will have to make in order to function in the world that awaits you are substantial. However, what I have seen of how you have responded to this pandemic thus far gives me confidence that you will adjust and thrive. I have seen from a distance how you have cooperated with your faculty in a program to keep your campus safe and to the degree possible free of COVID-19, and how you've managed to participate in keeping the university open and functioning while achieving a much lower than expected infection rate. This outcome could only have been accomplished by discipline, teamwork, and respect for your fellow students. In addition, several of your Vanderbilt scientists, whom I know quite well, are playing major roles in the development of a substantial public health response to this pandemic through the implementation of high-impact biomedical research. Of this, you should feel justly proud. However, as you enter a hurting world that is trying desperately to recover from this historic pandemic that is still raging and whose future course is still uncertain, whether you fully realize it or not, you can play an important role in ending the pandemic and in our recovery from it. What do I mean by this? Leadership. I refer here to your potential for leadership. You are graduating from an extraordinary institution. The young men and women of Vanderbilt University are the future leaders of our society, a society that has suffered greatly from a public health standpoint, with close to 600,000 deaths in the United States alone, and unimaginable physical and mental suffering for millions of others. And from an economic standpoint, with millions of jobs lost and businesses destroyed, perhaps irreparably. It is a hurting and changed world, and the new normal to which we will return may not be entirely the same as the normal from which we departed in January 2020. You are going to play an important role in shaping this new normal. Perhaps it can even be a better normal, but more on that in a moment. For certain, you cannot do it alone, but it cannot be done without you and your leadership. In this regard, leadership is a gradual process that you have already begun when you enrolled here at Vanderbilt. I speak not necessarily of officially designated leadership, which some of you may assume in your careers. I speak of the leadership that can take many forms, including the quiet and subtle leadership of example. Do not believe for a moment that you are too young to begin to assume leadership roles. There is a quote that is attributed to the famous Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw, whose career spanned the late 19th and early 20th centuries. I never liked the quote as a young man myself, and I like it even less now that I am far from being a young man. The quote is, the pity that youth is wasted on the young, implying that young people have boundless energy, great vigor, and a bright future. But because they are so young, they do not appreciate what this means, nor do they take proper advantage of it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, prove Mr. Shaw wrong. Take advantage of that youth and start doing your thing right now for yourselves and for society. You do not need to wait. At this critical time in our history, our country and the world need your leadership. Which brings me to my next point of discussion. COVID-19 and the bright light shone on society's failings. Our country's experience with COVID-19 has shed a bright light on one of the great failings in our society, and that is the extraordinary health disparities among minority groups, especially African Americans, Hispanics, and Native Americans. These minority groups have a much greater likelihood of getting infected with SARS-CoV-2 and developing the disease COVID-19 because of the nature of the jobs that many of them have as essential workers in society. More importantly, when they get infected with the coronavirus, they have a much greater likelihood of developing a severe consequence of infection due to the greater incidence and prevalence among them of underlying comorbid medical conditions, such as hypertension, chronic lung disease, diabetes, obesity, among others, that lead to a multifold increase in hospitalizations and death compared to the general population. Very few of these diseases are racially determined, and almost all relate to the social determinants of health, dating back to conditions that many minorities find themselves in from birth, regarding availability of adequate diet, lack of access to health care, and the restriction put upon them by the undeniable racism that exists in our society. And so let us promise ourselves that our memory of this tragic reality, that an infectious disease disparately hospitalizes and kills people because of the color of their skin, does not fade after we return to our new normal. It will take a decades-long commitment for society to reverse this trend. I strongly urge you to be part of that commitment, which brings me to my next point of discussion: public service and responsibility. I sincerely believe that regardless of our career paths, we cannot look the other way from pressing societal issues. There are still pockets of society here in our own country that are steeped in poverty, drug abuse, violence, health disparities, inadequate education, racism, discrimination, and despair. Some of you may devote your future careers and lives to directly addressing these societal issues. Most of you, understandably, will not. In this regard, public service does not necessarily mean a profession or an avocation devoted entirely to public service. One can incorporate public service into your lives regardless of your career choice. Please take this into serious consideration and make it part of your lives. This might hopefully help counter another sad truth prevalent in our society: unprecedented divisiveness. My next point of discussion: COVID-19 and the divided nation. Throughout most of the year 2020, I was a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force under President Donald Trump. In that capacity, I, together with my colleagues on the task force, tried to persuade the country to follow certain public health guidelines that could dampen the outbreak that was evolving and continues to evolve into the most devastating pandemic of a respiratory disease in over 100 years. Clearly, we have a common enemy, the SARS coronavirus, and a common enemy requires an unified and a consistent response. The guidelines that we developed required restrictions on society that clearly were painful and had enormous economic and individual personal consequences. However, these restrictions were necessary and ultimately saved lives. I would have thought that as a nation, we would all pull together, similar to what we had done following the terrorist attacks of 9/11, or even during World War II. However, sadly, that has not happened. Tragically, the pandemic brought to the surface the intense and glaring divisiveness in our society that led to the practice of proven public health countermeasures, such as wearing a mask or avoiding congregate settings, taking on a strong political connotation. What surprised me, and frankly continues to frighten me, is the willingness of so many people to believe in alternative facts and deny reality that is staring them right in the face, such as believing or pretending to believe that the almost 600,000 deaths from COVID-19 is fake news or a hoax. It took an historic pandemic, which I, as a scientist, a physician, and a public health official, was deeply involved in, and which forced me at times to come into conflict with the President of the United States to impress upon me how destructive to our nation is the current palpable divisiveness among us. And so, as you leave this extraordinary institution, whether you are a Democrat, a Republican, or independent, please do not allow differences of opinion that you might have lead to outright hostility. We will not fare well as a nation through the current challenge of a pandemic and the inevitable future challenges that our country will face if we do not pull together with a singular purpose of the common good. Having said all of this, I want to comment briefly on the concept of graduation and your status as a student. I call it the paradox of graduation and the concept of the perpetual student. Since this is your graduation, it is natural for you to feel from this day forward, unless you're going to graduate school, that you are no longer really a student. Let me tell you that this is just an illusion. In my own case, almost immediately upon graduation from college, and certainly upon graduation from medical school, I learned that my student days had actually just begun. The scope of what you have learned here at Vanderbilt, and importantly, what you will need to learn after you leave here, is like a giant mosaic, and this mosaic of your knowledge and experience is eternally unfinished, as it should be. What you're experiencing now and have learned as you live through the COVID-19 pandemic is part of that mosaic, a mosaic that will perpetually expand. Now, there are two sides to this concept of a perpetual student who is continually learning. The good news is that it's going to be very difficult to get bored, and the level of self-fulfillment is going to be very high. The sobering news is that you will likely develop a sense of low-grade uneasiness and a subliminal feeling of unfinished business, as if we all do not have enough of that anyway, as we prepare to enter a new and exciting phase in our lives. This feeling, however, is not necessarily a negative, since it can be transformed into something productive and positive. You will realize that you will never know as much as you want to or need to know. And you will find that you are participating in a dynamic process with a steep learning curve. This was particularly true for me as a young physician and a scientist, since the consequences of getting something wrong and not being aware of something that you should have known can be serious. However, this is true to a greater or lesser degree in any career path that you're going to choose. It is this feeling that can serve as the catalyst to constantly improve yourself, and this will be counterbalanced by a palpable excitement of continual learning. After all these years, I still derive energy and motivation from that very subtle tension, and I still marvel at how much fun the learning process is. Speaking of fun, let us end on a note of joy. I have been speaking to you over the past several minutes over the serious issues that we're facing in the context of the historic pandemic of COVID-19. Let me assure you, as a public health person who's devoting every waking hour and even some of my dreams to ending this pandemic, that it will end, and we will come out of this stronger than we were before this challenge. I promise you that. And so, putting this serious business aside for a moment, I want to close with a reminder about the joyousness of life. Allow yourselves to cultivate this joy as much as you do your professional accomplishments. As you might expect, different pursuits and activities provide joy in different ways to different people. Find your source of joy and happiness and embrace it. And let the sound of your laughter be heard. Congratulations to you, to your families, and to your loved ones. Good luck, and God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Fauci. The pandemic has underscored the value of discovery and a dedication to solving some of the most complex problems our society has ever faced. Your exceptional career represents these very qualities. Thank you for sharing your wisdom at this pivotal time for our nation and our graduates. Many challenges remain at this moment, and yet we are filled with optimism as we look forward. I hope you enjoy the rest of this day, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.